What's up, y'all? Today, we're gonna do scary stories from Reddit commenters. I'm gonna narrate it. Let's get it.
We bout to turn it up. Cause so let we find going up. Big so hood, everybody gotta jump, everybody gotta jump, everybody gotta jump.
About 2 years ago, I was driving home from a family reunion pretty late at night, and the drive was about 2 hours. I didn't stay the night because I had to be back for work the following day. Most of the drive was on roads with dense bushes and trees on either side. The real creepy ones you see a lot in movies. Anyways, I had been driving about 45 minutes. I was starting to get really tired. You know how sometimes you just suddenly become really tired out of nowhere? Well, yeah, that happened to me. I knew I wasn't gonna last, but I didn't come across any place that I felt I could sleep and be safe. After it became clear to me that I wasn't gonna find a place to pull up and my tiredness wasn't going away, I did something very questionable. I pulled over to the side of the road onto the grass behind some bushes to try and hide my car from anybody else who was going to come past. The roads weren't empty. I came across another car every few minutes or so. I made a mental note that the time was 11:22 and then fell asleep. Sometime later, I was awoken by a scratching sound. I looked at the clock, 11:50. The sound stopped after a few seconds, and because I was extremely tired, I didn't bother looking around and simply went back to sleep. I was later awoken by the same sound, and it was 12:40. This time, it really freaked me out because the sound didn't stop. The thought ran across my mind that it was just an animal inspecting the car. But why would it return almost an hour after it had left the previous time? I looked in my rear view mirror and just managed to catch a glimpse of something running away into the forest. Now, at the time, I thought it was a damn hook killer. You know, the one that scratched that couple's car, then slaughtered the guy when he got out to investigate. Fuck that. I thought to myself, so I gotta get the hell out of here. There was a bend no more than 100 yards up the road, and as I came around it, there was a fucking car parked to the side of the road with the driver's side door open. I slowed down just to look to see if anyone was in there. There wasn't. Then I looked in my rear view mirror. I didn't see anything. Then all of a sudden, this guy comes sprinting around the corner. He's screaming at me, shouting stuff like, hey, you, get the fuck out of the car. Now I said, nope, the fuck out of there, and I sped off. I never saw that guy again. Moral of the story, don't fucking sleep on the side of a deserted road.
That's suspicious.
Story number 2. This is by Sensitive Sally. This is not a supernatural creepy, but it's one of those more disturbing and surreal experiences of my life. One early morning, a few short years ago, I was walking to my bus stop and eating a banana. It's dark, misty, around 5 a.m., and I'm internally debating something trivial, like if I want my daily Starbucks before or after the commute. As I approach the dimly lit corner on my street, a tall man in a black mask steps out of the dark alleyway to my left. Sleepy and disorientated, I barely acknowledge him. When he shouts, "Put down your fucking purse," and points his gun to my head, things start to click. The man says, "Put down your bags," and I tell him, okay, I'm putting them down over here. He orders me to walk over to him towards the alley and get down on the fucking ground, and I agree, I'm coming, okay. My heart's beating 1,000,000 miles per minute, and my hands still smell sticky with banana. I know I need to get away. I don't know why, but my mouth won't stop working. Look, see, I'm on the ground. My stuff is over there. Please just take my stuff. But he doesn't like it.
Shut the fuck up, okay?
He gets on top of me and puts the gun to my head. At this point, I should mention the fact that I'm on my way to coach a high school practice, and I'm dressed like a dude, huge baggy pants, hat, jacket. Anyways, as the guy gets on top of me, gun to my head, he looks at me and pauses. I can tell you know why I know this, but I swear at this moment it clicks for him that I'm a woman. He gets off of me, stands up and points to the dark alley. There has been multiple sexual assaults in my neighborhood during the daytime, no less. When the man points down the dirty alleyway, my internal voice speaks the fuck up. Say, voice number 1.
There was no way in hell you're gonna go down there without a fight.
But he has a gun, you dipshit.
Replies voice number 2.
fucking follow me.
The real voice, his voice, hollers. So I do what I do best. I talk. I'm coming. I'm following you. I call. And the man makes a crucial mistake. He believes me. I take 2 tiny steps backward toward the sidewalk, and he turns his body and his gun toward the alley. This is my moment. I take a deep breath, tuck my head down in case he starts shouting and starts sprinting away. I hear a voice screaming in a high-pitched wail before I realize that it's mine. After running 6 or 7 blocks, I head back to the apartment. I was hoping he's not there and seeing where I live. The police check out the alleyway an hour later, but the potential attacker is long gone. The only evidence of the encounter is my banana peel brownie in the alleyway and the adrenaline rush that I couldn't shake for days. I would be lying if I said that experience doesn't bother me still, but I'm so fortunate to mainly be haunted by the what ifs and not the what dids. Dun dun! Story number 3. So my uncle used to work a lot when I was younger. He's done a lot of different things to make money, but one consistent thing is that in the summer months and into the late fall, he paints houses. It's a legitimate business and everything. He's got a truck with a number, a name, supplies in the back, the works. Every now and then he would call my dad when he's needed a little extra help, and I'll work for him. No big deal. Really, it's just painting houses. What could possibly go wrong? Well, it takes a while to paint a whole house. If the weather conditions aren't right, then you can't paint. One particular fall was extremely wet. It rained what felt like every single day. My uncle would paint multiple houses at a time, so sometimes he would get caught up. And due to situations like this, I work a little more than usual. That was fine by me though. The job wasn't hard and it paid well. Anyways, it was a warm day for late fall, but there was still a distinct chill in the air. One that kind of penetrated through you and stung your soul. My uncle had this job he had to finish. It was an old Victorian house. It's in a quiet part of the town. A lady, her husband, who was an Arthur, due to the weather, it had taken longer than expected to paint the house. And there were family issues going on at the time, which further complicated things. So my uncle gets a call one day from the lady who lives at the house. She says that her husband's trying to write his next book, but he keeps getting distracted by a crazy sound outside the house. So she wanted to know if we could come over and finish the job as soon as possible. My uncle was always an honest businessman. They had contracted him to the job in midsummer, but he had lots of jobs that summer, and the wet conditions I mentioned above made it difficult to finish anything. However, these people were insistent but really polite, and not wanting to lose customers or get a bad recommendation, my uncle decided to put the house on high priority. After all, it would only take a day or 2 to finish. So we show up to this house mid-afternoon. Like I said, it was weird, kind of chilly that day, and I also remember a really eerie calm. The day was slightly overcast, so everything was shrouded in the gray. It was like the perfect setting for a mystery crime novel. So we arrived at the house, and my uncle and I moved to the back. The front of the house was already done, so there was nothing left there. My uncle, being the more experienced painter, would always do the touch-ups, and I would simply apply the first coats, since they took a little skill. Anyway, we get to the back of the house and he asked me if I was scared of heights. I was 17 at the time, and although they do creep me out a little, I didn't want to seem like a child in front of my uncle. So I told him I wasn't. He was happy to hear that. He has me climb up to the 3rd floor to finish the upper section of the house. There was a window up there, a small little oval one that looked into the attic. The attic also happened to be the husband's study. He would do most of his writing in there. So I'm climbing up the scaffolding, cans of paint dangling behind me, and the various paintbrushes and the other tools in the utility belt my uncle let me borrow. I get to the top and set all my supplies down. I crack open a can of paint and start painting like I had a few hundred times before. Outside of the temperature, the overcast and the eerie calm to this day was like any other. I'm working my way across the top part of the house. When I get to the window that looks into the study, I bend down, dip my paintbrush, and stand back up to paint the above window. The window was in my direct line of sight, and I couldn't help gazing in. I see a man The husband staring back at me with a face completely barren of any emotion. I had never seen a face so devoid of feeling before. I still haven't, of course. I get startled and I take a step back. I chuckle and smile at the guy, but he doesn't smile back. Instead, while remaining completely emotionless, he draws a pistol up to his head that he was holding in his hand the whole time and proceeds to blow his brains out without ever blinking eye contact. Right in front of me, while I'm staring at him. In utter shock, I gasp and let a smallest scream as I step back in fear. Only I stepped back a little too much and fall off. Alerted by the gunshot, my uncle looked up in just enough time to see me off from the third story. I was lucky enough to land in a bush and only suffer a broken ankle and a few scratches. The biggest wounds happened in my head. I had to go to counseling for a while. It's been years since then, and I still remember that man's face. I've never forgotten it. It will always be burned in the back of my head. I know why. Looking back, his face was so devoid of emotion because he never felt any emotion at all. He literally didn't care about what he was doing. As it turns out, the man was seriously depressed and facing marital issues with his wife, combined with a few too many nights drunk on whiskey and facing writer's block. I guess he decided he couldn't take it anymore. His wife moved out of the house shortly after we never finished the job. To this day, the house remains abandoned, and to this day, I try not to drive down the street it's on. I'm scared that if I do happen to pass by the backyard, I'll see the man staring back at me from that window, cold and emotionless. Alright, y'all, that's 3 stories we had today. That's gonna do it for this video. Don't forget to like and follow. Tell us what you think. Let's get it.
We bout to turn it up. Cause so let we find going up. Big so hood, everybody gotta jump, everybody gotta jump, everybody gotta jump.